Yo, what's good everybody? Saberwolf94 bringing you guys Pokemon sets from past formats, DP style, and we got Legends Awaken today. That's right. Cool, cool. Now, I'm not gonna say this set is on the level of Stormfront or Platinum, for example, but it still is a pretty cool set. It still has a bunch of powerful Pokemon, a bunch of significant cards. This is a really nostalgic set to me. I mean, a lot of the DP sets are nostalgic, but this one is actually kind of unique because even though it's one of those sets that we would get a bunch of single packs here and there before we were getting booster boxes and shit, back in my day at least. The difference between this and a lot of the other sets like Mysterious Treasures, Diamond and Pearl, and what have you, I managed to get boxes of those sets, but this one I never got a box from this set. Uh, it's only the I don't know, like maybe 10 packs or something that I got total in my lifetime. So, I did collect cards from this set, but not as much as I would have liked because this set is really cool. It features a lot of legendary Pokemon, Legends Awakened, as the name says. Uh, Legendary Pokemon from home, like you got Rayquaza, you got Kyogre and Groudon. Where are you? Yeah, there you are. Jirachi, as you guys can see. It has the whole Heatran Stark Mountain theme going and the Regigigas Snow Point Temple, the Reggie's theme going. It's a really cool set. You'd be hard pressed to find uh, a box of these, and if you do, it's going to be like 500 bucks for sure. But let's talk about the good cards, the best cards from this set. And for me, I don't want to say this is the best card, but it's the first card that comes to mind when I think of Legends Awakened at least, and it is Kingdra, Kingdra right here. Now, when you look at it, you see it functions on 1 and actually 0 energy. Aqua Stream doesn't require any energy to use that attack. So it functions on 1 to 0 energy. And it may remind you of the Kingdra from Burning Shadows that we got recently. That also functions on 1 energy, doing crazy damage only for 1. And that's because that Kingdra is modeled after this one pretty much, the Legends Awakened Kingdra. Uh, this can also do crazy damage for 1 energy for that time. The difference is that this card was actually very good. Uh, it was really the, I guess you could say, granddaddy of Donk decks, what started the whole, you know, fast, strong damage for 1 energy, kind of quick knockout shit. Try to beat the opponent before they can get set up, before they can get any other Pokemon on their bench and shit, and like win that way, like win without getting 6 prizes, just knocking out their only Pokemon. Uh, because back in the DP, the rules were kind of different. The player that played first could attack, but they couldn't play any trainers or supporters or any of these cards. Uh, a lot of these decks that would run Kingdra and other Pokemon with a similar tactic after it would opt to play second. So, more than likely, if they didn't have Call Energy or something, maybe they wouldn't be able to play another Pokemon besides their basic one. And if it was a small basic Pokemon, with 60 HP or some shit, uh, it would very likely get knocked out next turn if your opponent was using something like Kingdra, because you would play your rare candies, play a bunch of broken time space, and a bunch of shit to get this guy out quick and aim to beat them quickly like that. It was called Donk. Dragon Pump does 40 damage, and you have the option to discard 2 from your hand. And if you do, it does 20 more and 20 more to the bench. So that's 60 damage on the active and 20 on the bench, 80 damage total for 1 energy. That was crazy back then. Um, Now you might be thinking that, dude, you can't be doing this all day though. Discarding 2 cards is a hefty cost. But it wasn't that hard because this card was combined with a lot of clay dolls from Great Encounters and Uxies, which is actually from this set too, which I'll show you guys soon. And you would easily meet the cost, grab a bunch of cards in your hand. Now, before this concept was popular, I believe people designed their decks around Aquastream, uh, kind of a gimmick tactic, but you could do a lot of damage. But later on, this was the standard. Dragon Pump was the standard attack you'd use. Try to put the pressure on quickly and beat your opponent like that. It was really the card that started the whole shit, uh, if not mistaken. But yeah, very good card. When Kindra Prime got released as well, it got even better. It was a really powerful attacker for as long as it was around, honestly. One of the cards that kind of belongs to be in the Stormfront set with the other crazy guys, if you ask me. But yeah, pretty good card. And honestly, doing 1 for 40, is not bad either anyway. Like, for only 1 energy. So that's the first card that immediately comes to mind. Now we're going to talk about some of the other guys too, but let's look at a few of the rare hollows. You got Dragonite, as you can see. This is a very beautiful card, one of the most beautiful cards in this set, if you ask me. There's actually like I think a championship exclusive version of this. Is basically this card with a stamp. I'm not sure. It's very expensive, but uh, this card wasn't that great. You can see it has good HP, 140, but the attacks doing 3 for 40, that's not good. And it is a coin flip to discard an energy, but that's not cool. Draco Meteor, uh, you flip a coin for each of your opponent's Pokemon, and if you flip heads, it does 50 damage to that guy. So if you get a couple of heads, like even if you get 3, if they have, let's say, 6 Pokemon out, you'll do 150 total, in spread, of course. So that's not that bad, but it's coin flips. 4 energy, it's decent, I guess, if you can do 150, but there's no guarantee. Uh, Not that super good. But hey, if you get lucky with Draco Meteor, you're doing a lot of damage. We got Frostlass too. I have this card. I think it's really cool. It's got the Destiny Bond shit going. You discard a Psychic Energy, and if it gets knocked out, your opponent gets knocked out too. And Icy Breath does 40 for 2, but you put 1 damage card on each of your opponent's bench Pokemon too. And it actually has Auto Sleep as well. So a lot of little effects here and there make it kind of good. They do this with Frostlass a lot, I know, but it wasn't that amazing. I mean, it can add up, but 90 HP isn't that hot, and you're not putting like immediate pressure. So decent little card. I like it, but it wasn't really that good. We got the original Giratina. This is the original, the first like Giratina print ever. It came in Legends Awakened. It's got 100 HP. That was pretty good. You couldn't really ask for better shit back then. Uh, there were a couple of Pokemon like Regigigas that had 120, but they have like drawback effects and shit. But it's got Shadow Force. It's basically 20 for 3. Snipe. That's not good. But you flip a coin as well, and if heads, you prevent all effects and damage to Giratina. Okay, but it's not that good. And Brutal Edge, 50 and does 10 damage for each damage counter defending Pokemon. So I guess if your opponent had like 3 damage counters on, you would do 80 for 4. Maybe that was decent for a basic Pokemon, but it requires setup, and 4 energy is a lot. It didn't really do shit. And there's better Giratinas, I'm pretty sure, if you were going to use the Giratina level X. That came in Platinum. And then we got Gliscor. Yeah, this card was really cool. I remember I really wanted it. Me and my brother, we also got the theme decks for Legends Awakened, both theme decks. And, Gliscor was a cool Pokemon for both of us. And we're like, yo, I want you to trade me your Gliscor. And he wanted my Gliscor. Yeah. But this guy, 80 HP isn't that hot, to be honest. But His attacks are kind of decent. Burning Poison, you either burn or poison the defending Pokemon, and you got the option to return Gliscor and all cards to your hand. Now this is important, you'll see later with the level X. And Pester, if it's affected by a special condition, it's going to do 80 for 2, not 4. Pretty good. So this is cool. The only problem is the HP of this Pokemon. But this is important later on with a strategy that a paralysis lock that you can do with Gliscor and Gliscor level X and Spiritomb. I'll tell you guys later. Okay, then we got Heatran. There's two Heatrans in this set, the fire one and the metal one. This is actually the good one. This, along with the level X, I think they could do some shit. You can move a fire energy, attach one of your Pokemon to Heatran, and Magma Storm, you can discard as many energies, and it's going to do more damage for each energy you discard at 20 more. So it has that unlimited, damage output. And level X basically would help you get energies for free and do that kind of shit, and that was really what you did. You did a lot of damage with I think either Magma Storm or maybe another attack, but you did a lot of damage, you discard energies, heat trap, fire shit, standard. These kind of tactics weren't really that amazing when SP came out, but when it was just a Stormfront set, they weren't so bad. And we got Metagross. I'm not going to cover like everything, as you guys know. Like I do cards that I know either have something cool going for them or I remember. But, Metagross, this guy is kind of cool. Magnetic Reversal is basically Luxray's Bright Look, but you can do it every turn. But you have to flip a coin. If heads, you pull something, whatever you want. This card didn't do shit, to be honest, but the power is good, of course, if you can get heads. It is a coin flip, that's why it's annoying, but it's still, something. And Extra Comet Punch, this was really the problem, I feel like, because it didn't have a great attack. Extra Comet Punch, it did 50 for 3, and then next turn, it was going to do 100. So, on average, I guess 150, it's like 70 to 80 damage for 3. If you factor in the second turn, when this guy is going to do 100 damage. But, you would have to stick around for a long time to get the value of doing 100 damage every turn, and that's not really that reliable. I wish it was just something like maybe straight up 70 for 3, no effect. That would have been good. When DC got released too, you just attach a metal and a DCE. Since it's a metal Pokemon, it could also have the benefit of special metal. So, that 120 HP isn't that bad. So maybe it could have been decent. Doesn't look that bad, the art either. But it didn't actually do shit. And we got Mewtwo. This isn't like, if you're going to use Mewtwo level X, which is in this set, I think you would use the Majestic Dawn Mewtwo. But this one can do like 1 for 10 and auto sleep. Psychic was going to do 40 damage plus 10 more for each energy attached to defending Pokemon. Psychic attack standard. Your opponent would need to have like, what? At least 2, so that way you can do at least 60 for 3. And that's not super hot anyway. We got Rayquaza. I love this Rayquaza. So this card, not only does it look awesome, I really want to get it. It's got Sky Judgment. You guys can see 150. But you have to discard all energy, and it requires 2 fire and 2 lightning to do the attack. Now, there wasn't really any like Embor or method to help this guy get the energies, honestly. And later on, Rayquaza Deoxys Legend got released too, and that was maybe, I don't want to say better, but I guess it was in an era where maybe it had a little bit more support. But it does have speed gain, and that's basically, you flip a coin until you get tails, and for each heads, you grab basic fire or lightning energy and attach to a quasi. So if you got super lucky, flip 3 heads, and then you manually attach 1 energy from your hand, you could do 150. You were likely gonna kill almost anything. Almost everything was gonna get knocked out with this attack. Maybe some certain level X's, or I don't know, like maybe something like a Wailord or Dialga with a bunch of special metal energies. But more than likely, you were knocking whatever the hell in one hit with this. But it was a luck card. But if you were feeling lucky, if you wanted to do some luck shit, this is the high risk, high reward card for you, for sure. It's a basic Pokemon too, 100 HP, not bad. It's got a fighter resistance. It just would have been cool if there was a way to power this up, but to be honest, it was going to be very broken for that time. 150, damn. I mean, you got the power too. Cool card though, cool card for sure. We got the Regigigas, we got 2 of these. I don't like this one a lot, to be honest. Uh, it's got the slow start, as you guys can see, even though it has 120 HP. It won't be able to attack until your opponent has 3 or less prizes. And, its attack, Crush Grip, it requires a water, fighting, and metal. So that's a fucked up combination. That's a lot. And, it's basically the water for Regice, fighting for Regirock, and metal for Registeel. So I guess that's kind of cool, iconic. But Crush Grip, it's going to do 120, but if any Pokemon has any damage counters on it, it's 40. Now that's pretty lame. It should have been something like 80 or 70 at least. So that if the opponent has some damage counters on, okay, you're not going to do 120. And, if they were hurt and if you did like something like 70, you could knock him out too. It was reasonable if it was a 110 SP Pokemon or something. But 40 for 4, come on, that's shit. It's not going to work. The other ones are better in Stormfront, and even like here, there's a better one from the theme deck too. Okay, so we got the Pixies. I have to talk about these for sure. So let's start with the most important ones. Or should I cover? Let's cover some of the other cool shit like uh, the Deoxyses. I guess I'm just gonna talk about the first one because they're not really great. They look cool, but they weren't that great. They've got the form change going for them, just like in the EX series, where you can swap a Deoxys for another Deoxys kind of shit. And Energy Crush does 20 damage, plus 10 more damage for each energy attached to all of your opponent's Pokemon. So I suppose that's not that bad if they've got a couple. Maybe you can do something like 50 for 2 and that kind of shit. But like I've said, when SP Pokemon came out, and actually when Stormfront came out, it was just so many crazy good attackers that uh, made these guys pretty weak in comparison. There's no better way to say it. Fucking Bibarel could do like 2 for 60 straight up. So, you would need your opponent to have a lot of energy for this to be good. But it does look very cool, this Deoxys. Now, Groudon and Kyogre are actually better though. 100 HP, very good. Got lightning resistance. They both have Drought and Drizzle, which is basically a costless attack to attach water and fighting energies respectively from your hand to any one of your Pokemon. It's not just for them. Now, Kyogre is cool because since it's a basic Pokemon with 100 HP, maybe you can kind of use this with Feraligatr from Heart Gold, Soul Silver. It does 3 for 60 and 20 to every one of your opponent's bench Pokemon. And you discard 2 water energy. But, it can do some solid damage if your opponent has a bunch of bench Pokemon. Even if they just have 2, that's 100 for 3. Not bad. The problem is the format, of course. Spread was not that great, like mini spread here and there, because of cards like Nidoqueen from Rising Rivals, and the biggest one being Garchomp Sea Level X with Healing Breath, the SP Pokemon. Sniping was good, but this little spread damage here and there, it was only good if you got it like as a bonus, like on Kindra. So that means, if they didn't heal or whatever, you did the damage, maybe it was going to be handy. But to discard energies to like rely on a lot of spread damage, that wasn't going to be good. But it is cool card to use with that guy. At least for me, I would use it. I would try it at least for fun. And for Groudon, this guy might be a little better. You discard 2 fighting energy once again, and you hit your guys for 10 damage, but it does 100. So, you're doing a lot of damage. You put an expert belt on, it's going to knock out a 120 Pokemon, no problems. So, this this was kind of cool. If you had Manectric from Platinum, you could block the bench damage to you. Now, the discarding does hurt, but I guess that's why you have Drought. But, these cards were cool. I did pull a reverse Kyogre and just a regular Groudon from Legends Awakened, which was why I really wanted. I really like that set. As soon as I saw these guys, I was like, man, cool. Because it was the first time I ever owned a Groudon card and a Kyogre card. I felt like, man, this set is so great. I got like a couple of packs and pulled them both. I thought it was awesome. That's why it's nostalgic and I really love it. Man, I wish I would actually like pay like $250 if I could to buy this, but like make kind of an exception. My threshold is like 200, but for this one I would probably do like 250 just cuz. But there's no way you'll find it even at that price. I feel like I'd never seen it. But yeah, cool shit. It's got a lot of Hoenn. I love it when they do these things. I mean, this is a DP set, but it has a bunch of Hoenn Pokemon. Really cool. We got the Metal Heatran. This wasn't that great. Smelt, you can move metal energies in the same way that the other one moved fire. But uh, Heavy Metal is a flip a coin attack. I guess on average, maybe you'll do like 80 for 3 or 60, or I don't know, but it's not that hot, it's not good. But this wasn't a theme deck as well, it came as a rare haul in the theme decks. And then we got Jirachi, gotta talk about this card. So the Roaring Skies Jirachi is pretty much modeled after this one. Yeah, I talk about these things a lot. Like I say, yeah, this card is based on this card and stuff like that. But it's because that's what they do at Pokemon. They recycle a lot of their shit. Uh, in They do it more than any other TCG, at least compared to Yu-Gi-Oh. It's just so obvious. But I think it's mostly good rather than bad. They give us what we want, pretty much, a lot of the times. So, for example, this Jirachi has one desire. You can search your deck for any card. Now, you don't bring it to your hand, unfortunately. That's what I thought. I think for some time when I saw this, like I didn't read the full sentence. But yeah, you put it on top of your deck. You don't add it to your hand. So, that can still be good because then you're going to draw the card next turn. So it's like a slow computer search, let's say. Uh, instead of revealing 7 and grabbing something, you get exactly what you want, but you wait to get it. And Doom Desire is the same attack, basically. Uh, you ditch the metal energies, and the defending Pokemon is knocked out at the end of the turn, no matter how much HP it has. Cool. I think they have the same HP as well. That one had 72, this one has 70. So this one was obviously better for the time. Maybe. We got Poliwrath. I really like this Pokemon. It's cool as well. It's a stage 2 Pokemon, 130 HP, and can do 1 for 60. But if Poliwrath was damaged by an attack, this attack did nothing. But you could do some combo shit and stuff. And you could be careful, like you kind of have to be, I don't know how to explain it, like time it right, but if you did, it was 1 for 60. And either way, it has submission, 3 for 90, that is very fantastic for me. It does 20 to itself, but eventually double colorless was released, and it was only going to be 1 fighting and 1 DCE basically. So not bad. This was actually a Pokemon that I guess maybe kind of survived the power creep a little bit because it did a lot of damage for 3. It's really high, honestly. So I guess we're going to talk about the Regis too, starting with the boss, Regigigas. This is a much better one, I think. It doesn't have 120 HP, but 100 is still great. Its body, you remove all special conditions every time you attach an energy to it. So this can be handy. And Gigadon Punch does 60 for 3. Not bad. And it's going to do 100 basically if you flip heads. You flip a coin and if heads, it's going to do 80 more and 20 to a bench Pokemon. So not bad, not bad at all. I think the Stormfront is still better, but this one is very good too. Looks very cool too. You get it as a rare holo from the theme decks. Nice, nice. And then we got the Regis. This would be used with Regigigas level X, of course, but they were actually used in Gyarados, the Stormfront one, because they ditch cards. Like this one, Registeel, you could ditch cards, 2 cards from your hand, and remove 3 damage counters from Registeel. And Rotating Claws does 50 for 3, and basically you can discard an energy and grab an energy from the discard pile. I guess what you can do is you can discard a regular metal and grab a special metal. Not bad, has a little bit of synergy with Regiheal too. Becomes like a mini tank maybe. Uh, some people did use it in Gyarados, but I think I saw more play in that deck because of Regimove. Uh, you could discard 2 cards and you could do like a war point for one of your opponent's unevolved Pokemon. Oh no, wait. You choose one of your opponent's active Pokemon. Yeah, you didn't pick the bench Pokemon. You couldn't actually pull what you wanted, but it was like kind of like a one-sided war point to your opponent. Ice Reflect. If Regice was damaged by an attack, if any Pokemon was paralyzed, not bad. Maybe. And then the last guy, Regirock. Uh, his attack is shit, honestly, but Regicycle is good. Later on, when Magnezone Prime got released, you would combine this card with this Regirock, and they made a pretty great combo because if you had a fighting energy in your discard pile, you could discard 2 energies, two cards from your hand, and then grab that energy and attach it to Regirock. So it was kind of like a Dynamotor kind of shit, but you discarded 2 energies. But the synergy was with Magnezone Prime. Magnezone Prime let you draw cards until you had 6 every turn, and its attack basically you discarded as many energies from your Pokemon as you would like, and it was like a Rayquaza style attack. You did unlimited damage times the energies you discarded. So they had perfect energy together. You would grab cards with Magnezone to discard for Regirock, and then Regirock would grab the energies from Magnezone to kill anything in one hit. You didn't really have to ditch a lot, to be honest. I think like you just ditched like 2 or 3, and you would do like 100 or 150 damage. That was strong. So that's the Regis as well. So I think it's about time we talk about the Pixies. They were some of the most important cards. This card is probably maybe the best card from this set, or second best. I don't know. Like there's a lot of great cards. I don't want to rank them, but after Kindra, this is the second card that comes to mind when I think of Legends Awakened, Uxie. So this Pokemon's Pokepower setup is basically Shaymin EX's draw ability, but you draw until you have 7. You play this card from your hand to your bench, and you draw until you have 7 cards. Now this was very good This card did see play, was like a staple in every deck. People would play at least one, and many people played two or even three. And then when we lost Claydol, when he rotated out, many people even played even more of this, trying to like maybe make this guy the draw engine, sort of replace Claydol. But even though this card was very good, it wasn't on the level of Shaman, honestly, even though it draws one more card. Because, well, for starters, we didn't have like Ultra Ball shit, um, that kind of stuff. So, you weren't gonna draw your whole deck like with Shaman with this. And people played differently back then, too. That's another thing. And there was a lot of power hate, power negation, stuff like that back in DP. You had the SP with Power Spray, you had things like Palkia Lock, you had Man Gardevoir. There was a lot of ways to block powers, so even though we did rely on power draw and that kind of shit, you didn't really like build your deck around the Uxie engine like people do with Shaman, the Shaman engine. But this was a very good card. Like, and honestly, it's only a rare. I'm pretty sure, yeah. So it wasn't as hard to get as Shaman EX2. And this Pokemon could be used in a deck too called Uxidonk. Uh, it has the attack Psychic Restore, it does 20 for 1, and then you put all cards at the bottom of your deck. I think what you did is like maybe you put an Expert Belt on and, plus pars and that kind of shit, and you aimed to get that donk and shit if you could by your third turn if you played first or your second turn. But yeah, so it has a good attack too. Put it at the bottom of your deck with everything. Lets you recycle the dude. Now the second best Pixie, uh, people might disagree, but for me at least, it was Mesprit. Uh, so this guy was an integral part in Palkia Lock because when you played this Pokemon from your bench, from your hand to your bench, your opponent couldn't use any Pokepowers next turn. So if they didn't stop it, like with something like a Power Spray or what have you, they really didn't have any powers next turn. There was no way around it. That kind of shit. Now, this was a very important part in Palkia because with Palkia, what he did is he had the ability to remove a lot of your bench Pokemon and your opponent's bench Pokemon. You had a limit of like 4, and what you did is like you played one of these, and then you played maybe an Uxie to draw shit, you played the Pixies to get their effects, and then you remove them so you weren't stuck with space, and then next turn you play another Mesprit, your opponent doesn't have powers once again, and you had that lock going. So he really utilized them the best in any deck, and this is why he was kind of hot. A big reason why he was hot during his time, Palkia G, the SP Pokemon, because he could utilize them basically without having the issue of the bench space. I don't think this card was used in any other decks besides that guy. Maybe if it was used, it was used as a like tech, but yeah. And the last one, this did see more general play, like Uxie. Basically, Uxie and Azov were the general like techs that were used in decks. Mesprit was more for Palkia Lock, but I think Mesprit is better because I don't really like this card. I understand it's good, but I don't really like it. So basically, Azelf has Time Walk. You would play this from your hand to your bench, and you would look at your face down prizes, and you could choose one Pokemon, put it into your hand, and then choose one card in your hand and put it as a prize card. So basically, you would swap a card in your hand for a Pokemon in one of your prizes. Now, the reason people did this was for consistency, of course. Uh, if anything got stuck in the prizes that was crucial, you would get it. You would check out your prizes too. And I guess the biggest reason would be an SP because of the level X Pokemon count as the name. for your Pokemon that you would use. In the case of SP, since they were basic Pokemon, you would pretty much do like a 2-2, two of the basic Pokemon and two of the level X. So it was like a stage 1 line, 2-2 stage 1 line. Or you would do three of the basic Pokemon and one level X, and you would use things like Pokemon Rescue to recycle it maybe, or Premier Ball. And if it got stuck in the prizes, you would use a Zelf to get your main level X, like let's say Luxray or Garchomp or Blaziken FB level X. But the reason why I don't like this card very much is because, like I said, it's a power, and if your main guy was stuck in prizes and you played a Zelf and they blocked it, let's say with Power Spray or what have you, you pretty much had no way. Like you had to manually grab it from the prizes, knock out Pokemon to get your card. Uh, Maybe you could do something like a scoop up, but you know you pretty much played Azel for nothing. At least with Uxie, he has a good effect, draw cards. It was more worth it, and his colorless attack means that he can attack, I guess, too, and be placed back in the deck. This guy needs a Psychic Energy to attack, and your opponent can't retreat. Okay, not bad, but it's less flexible. But people did play it. You would see most decks running this card at 1 in their deck. Like even if they ran a 2-2 SP line or what. But I don't really like it. I love Azelf as a Pokemon. Is my favorite out of the Pixies in games. But uh, when it comes to cards, yeah, I have to put Mesper as number 2. So I think it's about time we talk about the level X's. Maybe I should have did those first, but yeah. There's a lot of significant level X's here, but let me see. We got a bunch of shit too. Yeah, we got unknown. I think it's R. Yeah, this is the one, retire. So this is basically, you remove this, you play this on the bench, you discard it, and then you draw a card. Like the unknown from Ancient Origins. I guess this was one of the your other ways to, you know, draw kind of shit without Claydol and Uxie, and if you wanted a fast draw shit, like with Pokedex and Unknowns and Pokedraw, stuff you would see in Kindra and shit, where they would be a speed deck, you want to draw all your shit. So that's, I don't think there's any other good unknown here, but I could be wrong. So let's go to the level X's. Yeah. So the biggest level X, well, I guess it can be argued, but at least for me, this was very expensive. Uxie level X. Now I actually thought about like putting this card on the level of something like Shaman and Tapu Lele GX, but it's not quite that level. But this card was like the most expensive card for a time. It was very expensive because of all the shit it did. It's a level X card. It was hard to find in a set like Legends Awakened. It's a very big set. A lot of level X, so I don't think the ratios were that amazing. I actually pulled this card only from a couple of packs. Crazy, but so this card was important because, like I've said, a lot of people played Uxie. It was like a staple, and you would play Uxie level X as well because it was used as a Machamp counter, the Machamp that fucked the SPs from Stormfront. With a DCE, Zenblade was going to do 120 to that guy, so that was almost a knockout. And if you had a Crobat too from Platinum, you would play that down and you would knock it out. But even if you did 120, you softened the dude up at least, and it was basically your tech against that guy. And trade-off, it was basically a Pokedex every turn. You look at the two top cards of your deck, you choose one of them, you put it into your hand, put the other one at the bottom of your deck. So it was like draw a card every turn as well. So in conjunction with Uxie, the regular one from this set that you draw cards until you have 7, and this guy, his power, people thought when Claydol rotated out, maybe you could focus entirely on Uxie as a replacement. You draw shit that way, but you know, it wasn't bad, but it wasn't really on that level of Claydol. Claydol was kind of consistent always. You could do this every turn. You get the guy out if you didn't die. But this was a very good card, very expensive. You can see the synergy, how flexible it is. Very good. So the other big one, maybe the second best one, was Mewtwo level X. This was a hot card because it was basically one of the best, if not the best, SP counter pretty much. With Side Barrier, anything that wasn't evolved wasn't going to do shit to Mewtwo level X. No effects, no damage. So a lot of times if your opponent was playing something like Luxray, Garchomp, or an SP deck and they didn't have counters for this card, if you left it on its own, like you just left Mewtwo so maybe they couldn't like snipe on the bench and get prizes that way, they would pretty much lose. In the same way as the safeguard Pokemon we have these days, like Alola Ninetales and back then with Suicune and Sigilyph. The difference is that shit was more rare in DP, but it did exist, and this is one of the best versions of it, Mewtwo level X. You would use maybe like a Majestic Dawn, Mewtwo to attack. Maybe not do Giga Burn every turn because you would discard all energies, but 120 HP, you know, it was a basic Pokemon as well, Mewtwo. It was great. People would use this as a tech. You would use this in Cursecar could use it easily, and even other other SP decks pretty much, straight SP decks honestly. Very, very strong. Next, Rhyperior level X. So this card is actually, I don't think there's any other level X from the DP era that had more HP than this guy. Besides Pokemon like Wailord and shit, this had the highest HP pretty much, 170 HP. It's not that amazing besides that HP. You could use it honestly. You can combine it with Delcatty from Platinum, and you can guarantee do 100 damage every turn with Hard Crush. It's probably better than Salamence from Arceus, using it with Salamence, because you don't have to pay to attack with Hard Crush, and he's 170 HP is quite high, and you don't have to worry about a weakness, a glaring weakness like with Garchomp killing you easily. And he has some synergy with up throw. You can shuffle or fighting energy cards into your deck, and you also got the deck out shit going with the Rhyperior from Diamond and Pearl for your opponent. Not bad. I think this was maybe a little bit good when it came out because it had so much HP and shit. But yeah, when SPs came out, I can't really think of it doing shit. Or when Stormfront came out. Like, Delcatty wasn't even out, but I think this card was doing some shit. I don't want to say it was a top deck. It was not a top deck, I think. I'm not sure, but it could do some shit for a little while. Like I said, with Heatran, what have you. But yeah. Next, we got Gliscor. So this level X is really cool. I really want it. I don't have it, damn it. It looks pretty cool. It's really good too. So 110 HP, okay, not bad. Shoot Poison. So when you level up this guy, you choose a defending Pokemon. It was paralyzed and poisoned. Yeah. So what you would do with this dude is you would play him, you would paralyze your opponent, and then you would do Night Slash, switch it, attack and switch, kind of like Curse Card, and you would promote Spiritomb. So that means they couldn't play any trainers next turn, so they were stuck basically. Since they were paralyzed, they couldn't really retreat, and they couldn't play the switch with the Spiritomb. And because you had to do this every turn actually, you would Night Slash only in some situations. What you normally did is you used the attack from that Gliscor Or I think there were other glide scores too, like the promo where you could do shit and it went back to your hand. But you would do that an attack like that that puts your guy back in the hand, and you would do this next turn as well. And if you got this going, your opponent you couldn't do shit. It was a very powerful lock. It was really annoying lock, but it was good. I think this card actually saw some nationals. It topped nationals or even worlds, I think, too. It wasn't like it was kind of like the Trevenant deck, let's say. That it wasn't like the super meta. It wasn't like the main meta deck, but it was the surprising sort of deck that did shit. It was one of those decks that, people know it's good, but they don't really trust it, but it can actually do shit. Yeah, very good. Then we got Magnezone. This was also very good. Magnezone could also do the switch shit with Spiritomb as well. But this Pokemon could do some very high damage. You got Cyber Shock, discard lightning or metal and metal energy attached to Magnezone. It did 80 for 2 though. And the defending Pokemon is also auto paralyzed. So you can see this is some tough shit. And its power, as often as you like, you could move lightning or metal energies to any of your Pokemon. So it had that Aromatisse going for 2 energies too. Very, very good. We had some good Magnezone cards too back then. The promo one, like the ones in Stormfront were both good. Like even the one in Diamond and Pearl, honestly. So Magnezone decks were kind of solid. They were kind of good. Could do shit. Okay, and then I guess I'm going to cover the rest of the level X's, the other two DP Pixies. You got Mesprit. This Pokemon stands out because it's one of the few Pokemon that can do that sort of crazy Charizard-ass damage. 200 damage, okay. So yeah, it can do 200 damage, but it's almost impossible to pull this attack off. You need Uxie level X and Azelf level X in play, and this card is a level X too, Mesprit level X. And no matter what, you discarded the energies too. It only costs 2 psychic energies, but you discarded them too. And that's pretty lame. I mean, 200 damage, you would knock anything out, honestly. Nothing was going to survive this. Nothing at all, not even Wailord. Uh, but, it wasn't possible to do. I wish it was like, maybe it did like 150 damage, and it didn't require Uxie level X and Azelf level X. Like, it only required just an Azelf and an Uxie. And maybe it did less damage, and maybe you kept the energy in. It costs 3 psychic energy, let's say, or some shit. But, yeah, it would have been better this way, I feel like. Because we don't need that overkill 9 times out of 10 anyway. Heal and look, costless attack, heal your guys. And the last dude is Azelf. Not that good either. Choose one of your opponent's Pokemon, put 1 damage counter on that Pokemon for each energy attached to all of your opponent's Pokemon. So yeah, if your opponent had a lot of energies, then maybe, but honestly, like I've said before, the best attackers back then, they just use 1 energy, or even 0 with Gyarados. This was actually one of the ways that when Gengar Prime came out and was really super hot, people thought it was the best shit ever. Like, one of the problems that deck had was Darkness Pokemon, obviously. And this was one of the methods, like, maybe that you could use to give it no weakness. With Psychic Aura, each of your Psychic Pokemon has no weakness. It was either this or something like Loudred. Yeah, but they were both unreliable. I remember Jay Witz talking about this in his video. So that's basically it. We're just going to do the trainers. I think I rambled very long. But yeah, Bubble Coat isn't that good. I don't remember it doing shit. It's got a really... I think it blocks like weakness when you attach it, and then when you get damaged, it goes away, some shit like that. But Buck's training, this is basically like Kukui, is straight draw 2. but you do 10 more damage to the active Pokemon. Now, it's not 20, but Kukui is a much newer card. This 10 damage was significant back then. Uh, I like the card. I didn't really use it that much, and people didn't really use it. But that little extra effect sets it apart. It makes it better than something like Mom's Kindness, when it was just draw 2. Cynthia's Feelings, this was a very cool supporter. This card looks very beautiful as a reverse. And you shuffle your hand into your deck and draw 4 cards. So it's a weaker Professor Oak's New Theory, but it came out before Professor Oak's New Theory. But if your Pokemon got knocked out the previous turn, you drew 4 more cards, so it was 8. So not bad. This wasn't a very bad card at all. It was good. I think it did saw play. People did use it. Maybe as a one-of at least. Well, we didn't have the supporters that we did. Energy Pickup. This is a kind of a cool card. So this is basically like the patches, like Dark Patch, Aqua Patch that we have. The difference is a coin flip, and you can grab any energy and put it to any one of your Pokemon. It doesn't have to be on the bench. So maybe you can like try and do some shit with this card. It's a coin flip, but you know, it's a good effect if you get it off. Then we got the Poke Radar. This is basically a Dusk Ball. It was a Dusk Ball. You revealed less cards, 5 instead of 7, but you had the option to grab multiple Pokemon instead of just one. It's not that reliable though. It's at least decent. Snowpoint Temple, this was really good. All basic Pokemon got 20 more HP. So it would help SP. Or, with the Stormfront Salamence, you would play this to make sure they had more HP so you could attack, ignore your colorless Cots if they didn't have a 120 Pokemon. And then Stark Mountain, you can choose a firefighting energy attached to your Pokemon and move it to another firefighting Pokemon. Not bad, not bad. And then we got the technical machines, Evolutor and Devolutor. So basically this was like tools. You attach them and you can use the attack on this card. Evolutor evolved your guys, and Devolutor devolved your guys. Nah, I can't really think of anybody using this for these effects, but they were kind of needed for a certain Porygon. If you're going to use that Porygon, you kind of needed technical machines for it, just to do a lot of damage. I think it was the promo Porygon, yeah. I can't think of anything else. So that's it. So that's the set, guys. I rambled very long. Man, this is probably going to be a lot longer than... I want to keep these videos to like 30 minutes, but this might be like an hour. I don't know, like 40 minutes. Who knows how long it's been. But this is a really cool set. It's very expensive, like I said. I wish I could get more packs or collect more of the cards. I do have a lot of the cards, but yeah, not everything. We need more. But yeah, not on the level of Stormfront and Platinum for sure, but very cool and very big set. This is actually probably the second biggest set in DP, I'm pretty sure, after Supreme Victors. It's very big. We've seen a lot of big sets a lot of times now, especially with the break sets, but this is still pretty big, 146 cards. Big as fuck. Yeah. So that's the set, guys. I guess we're going to do the next one next time. Going to cover all the DP sets. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys subscribe. Leave a like. That helps. Share this with your friends if they want to learn about these old formats. I think I do a pretty decent job, if I say so myself. It's a little walk down the memory lane. I talk about a lot of the good cards, a lot of the shit, how the format was, and how things were back then, what the best cards are and what have you, some of the tactics. And if you want to learn this old shit, You got to stick around to my channel. Okay, so SaberWolf94, thank you guys for watching. What's up?